Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Wednesday, really Wednesday in the racing community. Welcome to Hanging Cable South Africa with myself, Keith Witter, and Cliffy Ogle. Tonight, we are going to have some great chats and catch-ups with the beloved Rob Portman. We're going to chat about the Ride Fast May edition. We're going to chat to him about the new Ride Fast and Moto GP E-League and E-Series that they've started. We're going to get some information about that. And then also we joined with a very special guest this evening. He's one of our teammates and one of the reasons I started racing. And the first racer that we ever went to go film a few years ago, Action Jackson, number 21 or 22, depending on where he races. Action, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks, Keith. Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good. So we have Cliffy on the line. We're dealing with a few internet bugs again this evening. Bear with us. If you have any questions this evening for Gareth or for Cliff or myself, please prepare them and send them. Reach out, do the comments, like and share the page. Our show this evening, thank you so much for our sponsors. HellsKitchen in Melville definitely sponsoring the show this evening. They reopened this week for takeaways, so get in touch with them. It's some of the best ribs, chicken wings and burgers and fries you will get in the country. So reach out to them. And then also we're going to have a little update on the Moto Moments coloring competition with Jeff and his beautiful photos that he sent us. We've got some nice entries and we'll get to that competition again later. So without further ado, let's get into it. Gareth, how have you been and how's things going?
I think things are good, Keith. Obviously, a little bit frustrated with the current situation that we find ourselves in, but apart from that, no, we're good. We're good. Getting through every day, a little bit better than the last or the previous day. So no, good.
Awesome, Gareth. So I mean, we've got there we have Cliffy. Hey, buddy, welcome to it.
Hey, I'm the last one
Hello,
to arrive. At least I'm still on the podium. How are you, Gareth? Good, long time. But you're good.
Good, and you? Thanks, buddy.
Good, man. Sorry, carry on. I obviously came in halfway through, so carry on.
Well, we were just kind of saying thank you to Hell's Kitchen and everyone that sponsors and follows our show. Thanks for joining us this evening on Raceday.tv and Hanging Cable. Cliffy, I just want to get in. We just kind of announced Gareth. So for those of you that don't know Action Jackson, number 21 or 22, depending on where he races, and his team principal and boss, Zoe, who's also his lovely wife. We're going to chat to them this evening. Gareth, for the people who don't know you, do you want to just tell us how it all started and how you got into racing and what your journey has been so far?
Yeah. So, geez, you know what? I think for me, biking has been a long time coming. We've been involved in the biking scene, ever since I was 15 years old, going to the rallies, doing the 50cc racing back in the day, Eastern Transvaal riding. So, we've been involved quite a lot with the different clubs and my dad specifically. And then from a racing side, we started in 2014. AJ Fenter actually got me started. We did the last round of the 2014 regional race at Red Star as a test run, and we were hooked after that. So we started in 2015? 2015 we started our full race season. Yeah, so it's been a long time.
Which year did I meet you? I believe I met you in 2016. I was introduced to you by Leroy Rich at that time. It was 2016.
Correct, yeah.
And you were with Rob in racing and all of that. That's the first time we put that 360 camera on your bike, and you managed to lose it at turn one.
The one that I lost it in turn one.
Yeah.
I did apologize about that though.
Yeah, it's just you going too fast. That's a camera error. That's not because you can't say you were going too slow at that moment. So in terms of that, you guys, where did you guys meet? And have you been racing in the same championship all along? Cliff, where did you come about Action the first time? Did we lose Cliffy?
Raceday challenge. Am I still here? You guys hear me?
Yes, we can now, Cliff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we met when you were starting your first race in the Bridgestone Challenge, and I remember you were on a blue and yellow R1, and we chatted a little bit in the pits, and it was all friendly and that, and I was racing, I think, Thunderbike, and you were in Bridgestone Challenge, and then I remember you had a horrendous off at turn 4. I don't know if you remember that, but you had to go for surgeries and all sorts. That was the first time I laid eyes on the hands. Gareth got where your nickname is, your all action. But that crash was a big one, man. Can you tell us about that one, your first race in the Bridgestone Challenge?
Yeah, listen, I think that's probably my most severe accident that I've had. It definitely shook me up for a little while after that. Coming out of turn 3 down the back end of Swartkops. I still remember this. I was doing about 177 k's an hour going into turn 4 to touch the brakes, and I had no brakes. So in that split second, I went through the kitty litter and had to dump it in the ground before I hit the wall. So yeah, that was a good indication of the next year or two of where all my accidents started happening after that. But I broke the bike into 3 pieces. So I snapped the front, I snapped the back, and yeah, we went to hospital after that. But we've I see you've got some good photos of some crashes there. I took yeah, there you go. There's the bike after the turn 4 accident. Yeah, the ones that you showed previously now was I took Henny Swanepoel out by accident. The one before that. In turn 6, there you go, I took Henny out, and then I couldn't get out from underneath the bike, so he had to, thankfully he was a good sport, and he came and he helped me back after that. And in this one, I went down in turn 7 in the rain, lost the front end on the paint, and slid it up. Yeah.
Yeah, Gareth,
we get this photo, yeah. Sorry, you the only guy I know in the pits when it comes to Friday practice and we look at the weather report that prays for wet weather. So, yeah, can you elaborate on that? Because, yeah, you're the only guy I know that gets excited and prays for rain. So I think you should tell us what you know that we don't know.
Listen, I don't even know what I think I know, to be honest. I think it's, I kind of think that it levels the playing field a little bit more. And if I push that little bit extra, I can climb closer to the front of the pack. And I think really on those type of days, it's how far you're willing to push the bike. Effectively.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just because every time if there's rain, so I've never raced on rain. Cliff, I don't know how experienced you are in the wet, but I've never raced in rainy conditions. We've had a few damp conditions last year in East London and that kind of thing. It's quite chill when it's not super wet, but the initial thought of an understanding of how these tires work with the water is such a mental kind of barrier that you need to overcome. It's almost the same kind of, I can say it compares to putting your knee down for the first time or your elbow down for the first time. It's such a mental gap. You don't know where the perimeters are and where the limit is essentially. And I mean, some people just do it like regardless. I've seen you in water action and you nail it, and people are scared of you when it rains. Like, this is not a person you want to be next to in corner 1 or 2 at Swartkops when it's wet, let alone in the dry. I mean,
I think if you ask Sweeto, he's scared of me if I'm behind him or in front of him in any corner.
I mean, Cliffy, I know we had that earlier about the tires, and you wanted to just touch base with Gareth about that and the way he manages tires, because it's quite a special bit of information that we're going to get out of his mouth now, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I mean, just touching on the rain, just other than 3 races, not once have I ever gone out on rain tires. So I'm one of the guys that just circulates for points, but Gareth is a guy that pushes for podium. So there's a difference between him and myself. But yeah, I wanted Gareth to, because I mean, you know, the thing is, the three of us here, we've spent. I mean, Keith is new to the racing group. But we've done about three seasons together, all put it together, sharing information. And last year we raced together in Zx10 Cup. And what's always amazing with Old Action is how long you can get out of a pair of, or set of Bridgestone R11s, because guys get one or two races. Gareth looks at about the 15,000 km mark and then turns them around and goes racing on the other side. So Gareth, can you long a set of R11s actually do last?
So listen, I don't know if I'm probably the best person to speak to about this. You know, I think if Bridgestone had to come and say to me, what do you think? I would be a great representative for, you know, for the tire, specifically for the R11. But, you know, from a safety perspective, I'm probably not the best person to ask. You know, from a second-hand set of R11 tires, I've got 5 race weekends out of it. That was last year. You know, I got a second-hand set of R11s from Ian Harwood, and then I used them for 5 weekends after that.
Yeah, there's absolutely no ways that tires are supposed to last that long. But I mean, at what point did you actually turn them around and put the thicker side to face the most corners? After race weekend 3, I suppose.
Funny enough, you know, you say that, I actually never turned it around. You know, listen, I think it's all about budgets as well. And for me, you know, we were never going to get to the top 3 or the top 5 or the top 8, you know, in the Zx10 Cup. You know, the guys are very competitive. It's probably one of the most competitive challenges or groups or championships out there. So, you know, we were very content, you know, to try and mingle with the mid pack. And for us specifically, what we were trying to do most of the time was just to better ourselves. So, you know, if we could continuously hit the 1.7s, we were aiming for the 1.6s at Swarkops, then, you know, we were happy for that. So, yeah, it was really about just going out there and enjoying the championship and the guys that were around you.
Yeah, for sure. I also. Yeah, sorry, Keith, I'm jumping in here, but also, I mean, Gareth, we also jumping ahead here because you've raced a few years. The first time I met you on an R1, but you've had quite a few bikes over the line. Do you want to take us through your development? Because you started off in Challenge, and then all of a sudden, like, you struggled a little bit, and then all of a sudden you came good on the new Zx10. But do you want to talk about those early seasons? Because I've got a story after you tell us that every time I think about it, I laugh. But it's a trip down to Pikisa that will live with me forever. But maybe take us through your history on the bikes that you have raced, because you've done quite a few Zx10s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So to start with, when we started in 2015, we had the Yamaha 2004 R1. You know, I think we raced that for probably half a season. I think we crashed that twice actually. So it was time for an upgrade. So then we moved to the 2005 ZX10, which was my first encounter with the ZX10s. I think we raced that. Yeah, so we finished the regional season on that. And then we joined the Bridgestone Challenge the year after, 2016. I think we still had the ZX10 at that point, but only for the beginning season. For the beginning part. Then we moved over to the 2006 R1. And then we did one or two, probably a season on that. And then we moved up to the 2010 ZX10. And then from that point there, we've stayed with the ZX10 bike. So we moved from there, we moved to the 12, and then we had a 13 model, and that's currently where we are at the moment.
Yeah, because I wanted to finish on that story. Listen, I mean, maybe you can tell us about it, or tell some of the viewers about it as well. Because for me, it was tragic at the time, but it's one of the most comical stories. But I remember we were all heading down to Pikisa, and we were excited for the weekend, and you were in good spirits. And then somewhere down the trip to Pikisa, and that you guys were passed by your trailer, and then it took off up the embankment and rolled. But you guys still arrived at the track the next day and pieced together some sort of bike to put in a couple of laps. But I mean, we laugh about it now, but at the time it was tragic. But yeah, I think you should tell the viewers about that story, because that is probably the most trying weekend. I mean, a lot of us say when it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. But you guys still put in a solid effort to try and get out there and race. You and Rob Morph, if I remember correctly. I think you should elaborate more on that story, because for me it's classic. That's you're definitely one of the guys that never gives up no matter what.
Listen, I think if there is any blame to go around here, I think it's got to be solely on the shoulders of Rob Morph. Considering he was towing the trailer with both bikes in, on the way to Pekisa. So anyway, it unhitched from the back for some reason. It cruised across the highway without hitting any cars miraculously, flipped over the barrier and landed on its roof upside down. So when we opened the doors, the bikes were actually sitting on the roof, hanging down. Very luckily, we had the tire machine in the back as well, and it kind of went from the back to the front of the trailer, but right through the middle. All it did was it broke the screens. So listen, we managed to get the trailer back up, we managed to get it out, and we managed to get the bikes, to Pekisa. And then we spent the whole of the next day stripping the motors, getting all the oil out, and attempting a couple of laps here, a couple of laps there. But I think eventually it wasn't meant to be our weekend. But I think for us personally, it's really about the experiences and the fun that you have along the way. Not necessarily about the wins and the podiums. Yes, I mean for different people it's different reasons. But I think for us we got into it, primarily for a social aspect as well.
Yeah. I wanted to touch base on that because, I mean, that story I can't even imagine what that must feel like. I think personally I'd start crying. Like, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be like, oh my God. And then if we see the bikes upside down, but they're still in one piece, then you definitely go and attempt to put them around a lap or two.
And it's not even the first time that something like that's happened, funny enough. I'll tell you another story. AJ Fenter was the one that I said earlier was the one that introduced us to the racing scene. And I think it was the very first season. It was, I think, one of our first trips up to Pekisa. Funny enough, Pekisa again. Now, I just fetched the race bike on the back of my bakkie, and I was heading down to Galuli's interchange. And a car, 3 cars ahead, slammed on brakes. The car behind him slammed on brakes and so forth. And I wrote my bakkie off with my bike on the back. So luckily, I had only tied the front down. So the back shot up in the air, so it minimized the amount of damage. So I managed to get the bike off onto another trailer, and then we headed out to Pekisa for that weekend.
Oh, Gareth, that's what I love about you. But there's always stories that some sort of adventure going on.
There's never a dull moment. Like, I need to admit, so my first rookie year was with both of you two, with the team bosses in the background, all with Morphine Racing and Rob Morph. Once he left, it was us, and just the entertainment value and the enjoyment at each race meeting was just like the highlight of all of it. Yes.
Yeah, I think that was also one of the good things for us as well, was that it takes you an hour to say hello to everyone when you get there. It takes you an hour to say goodbye, when you leave. And it's just a great bunch of people, and I'm talking everyone from spectators, from, riders, marshals, specifically the marshals. We've got a very good relationship with a lot of the marshals as well. They do so much for our sport, and, so much that gets unrecognized, really.
Yeah, 100%. But I think I couldn't agree with you more on that, because a lot of times it is overlooked, but we are racing. Your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I just have so much. I can sit here for days and just listen with the two of you, because I mean, you're like literally the two riders that spent the most time with me last year and helped turn me into a racer from nothing. Obviously starting with Rob, and how I got to know all of you was, on that team, and just the kind of camaraderie is quite a thing. It's quite infectious. Like you don't. I mean, we came in with a big plan to shoot this documentary, which we're still busy with. And it just kind of opened so many aspects of the sport to me as an outsider coming in. And I think that's why I got so latched onto it. I got to meet you guys and everyone else, and there was this massive interest in this. It's just not ever been exposed enough, you know, or brought to people to see how social regionals, or even on a national level, there's a massive kind of family atmosphere, you know, tied in with racing regardless, across the board. It's always a dad or someone. It's generations on generations, and every now and again, like myself and, you know, a few others, you bump in coming with no kind of hierarchy of granddad or dad doing racing or whatever. But then once you come in as an outsider, the community itself kind of gives you that harness, and everyone wants to help and sort you out and that kind of thing. I mean, that causes a lot of problems with suspension setup, I can promise you that. But it doesn't take away from the fact that everyone's trying to be super helpful. But I wanted to ask, just around the family and social aspect, Gareth, your wife, Zoe, is basically our team principal and manager. I mean, she runs the stuff. She sometimes changes our wheels and brake pads. And I'm standing there either with a camera or with an open mouth going, what's happening here? No, and she gets really into it. You know, she does our entries, she does the administration. She came from just supporting her husband in a sport to really building a presence within the sport, you know, going through, and taking over to a certain extent. So, I mean, how is it, and how would you describe that scenario? I mean, she's reluctant to be on the show this evening. Let's just be honest. Zoe, we love you very much, but you should be coming into the side of the
she says she likes to be the behind-the-scenes person, which strikes me funny, because she's very forthcoming with the Greg Mulaney's and the commentators and the media people, and so it strikes me funny, but.
You know what strikes me funny, Gareth, is, and I've been sitting, watching for a while, is as soon as you say the wrong thing, I'm pretty sure myself, Keith, and all the viewers are going to watch a hand come out from behind the scenes and give you a nice swift clap on the back of the crust. So, because Keith and I can both agree that if you step out of line, we're both a little bit of afraid of your wife and what she'll do to us if we don't toe the line.
It's not a little bit.
See there, she's already given me crib notes.
Good.
Yeah,
you see, that's preparation. That's public. That's PR in action right there. From team principal, mechanic, transport manager, administration manager, and head chef in the team. I mean, that's But I mean, seriously,
it reminds me of
the responsibilities, though. Like, I mean, she does a lot. So the question I wanted to get to, from a family perspective, how nice is it to know that it's not just you going to a racetrack racing, your wife's super into it too? I mean, does it not just add so much more to the whole kind of recreational family aspect of it? I mean,
listen, I think it's, for me personally, I think that if we didn't have this type of relationship or bond, or she didn't bond with the motorcycling industry, it would be very different. I think we're very special. How can I say? We're very blessed. That we both do have this interest. And funny enough, before Zoe met me, she couldn't tell you anything about a motorcycle. Now she can tell you every Moto GP, every Moto 3, every Moto 2 rider, and who's going where. A lot of the time, even non-race weekend, the bikes are on the TV, and a lot of the time it's from her rather than from me.
Cliffy, you've done the same with Jill, I'm sure, because she's like the team for videographer and photographer every time we go out. It's such a team unit. I mean, it's quite an interesting thing to have that. I mean, I come to the track alone. Obviously, I'm doing it for different reasons, and it's more a proper sporting event for me and a bit of work and that kind of thing. But yeah, it changes the fact that you can spend this time with your family at the racetrack and them being so supportive and involved,
Yeah, look, I'm sure Gareth can vouch for this as well, but I think if it wasn't for our wives and that, it's very unlikely that we'd get on our motorcycles in time and leave pit lane before it closed. Because, like Gareth, I mean, Jules had a crack at changing tires in the pits, and done it successfully. And yeah, but she checks my tire pressure, and basically all I really do is get myself ready, and everything else is taken care of. And like Gareth says, we're very blessed that we have that, because one, it's a massive bond, and it's something that we do together. We go race together, but also it sort of keeps us in check as well. Like, and I mean, if I have a bad race weekend, she can sit in the car with me and sort of give me her 5 cents worth. And a lot of times she's right, because she knows how my thought process, as well as my riding style and all sorts. And also, like Gareth said, when it started, she knew nothing about motorcycles, but it's completely taken over. We're still there.
I'm here. I don't know if everyone else is there.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I can't wait to get back to the studio.
Yeah, I think from, just an extra point here is, if you have a look at some of the different photos as well, a lot of them you'll see me on the bike and Zoe next to me with a stern finger telling me I should have done this, or I should be doing this, or look at my lap times, what am I doing? I mean, if you look at the wording just that goes onto my lap board sometimes, I mean, it's horrendous. I feel sorry for the guy that's behind me, wondering what the hell.
Okay, on that point, what's the most unusual message you would have gotten on your pit board from Zoe? Because I've never really seen your pit board coming through, but I can only imagine. Can you share some of the cryptic messages that go onto that board?
I actually, to be honest, Cliffy, I actually can't. So, and I'll tell you why, is because and this is without a word of a lie. I mean, they're in the garage here now. They are X-rated messages. It's kind of that says move, and then another word that follows, something like that.
I mean, that's definitely a reason to join us at track next time and to come and see Action Jackson and Zoe Jackson.
Yeah, come and have a look in the pit board. Yeah,
that's definitely a highlight. I think I just wanted to quickly interject it. So, I mean, it's good to see that you guys have the support, and I think that's a big thing that a lot of people need to understand. It starts with a family unit. It's not just a sport for individuals to go. It brings a lot of people within your inner circle together. I remember last year, our sponsors and my friends from Hell's Kitchen, and even Henk and Fritz from Raceday, we all just kind of, it drew us to the track, and it's because one oak decided to go race, and it just developed a whole new kind of world for us in terms of racing, and opened up a lot of relationships and the action it brings to our lives. So racing for the win, let me just say that. I just wanted to ask you, your nickname, the Action Jackson, where did that come from? Because I feel it's Rob Portman, and if so, I'm going to bring him into the to the call right now.
Actually, it wasn't. It was Greg Mulaney.
Oh, Mulaney. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was Greg Mulaney.
Did you give him royalties for that nickname?
No, he actually, funny enough, when we were at prize giving, he would just say Action Jackson, and for like the first couple of times, I didn't really understand it, and then afterwards it kind of clicked, and then we just took the name and we ran with it, and I think it's been a talking point, and it's been a fun discussion with many riders, many spectators, and it's become part of the scenario, I think.
Yeah, look, I mean, here's one of the commentators you talked about, Mr. Rob Portman. How are you doing, buddy? Welcome to the show.
How you guys, man? Thanks for having me again. All good, eh? Surviving. I don't have a temperature, not coughing, not sneezing, so that's a good sign. Always a good sign.
Always good to hear.
That's awesome. Welcome to the show. So I just wanted to bring you in at this point because, I mean, you, the guy, with yourself and Greg Mulaney, you guys do the voiceovers and you guys are the commentators when it comes to the racing side of Zx10 Masters and National and all of that. What is your take on Action Jackson and his performance throughout the last couple of years in the Bridgestone series and the X10? What is your kind of breakdown and description of him and the rider as a whole?
Well, in terms of giving riders nicknames, Greg Mulaney is actually the best at that. I remember climbing in, doing car commentary in studio with him for the first time, and we were blabbing. We were going on about the car racing, and I keep it very simple. Like I don't know much about cars, and I don't know a lot of the drivers. So when I'm doing the bikes, it's easy for me. But the cars, I generally just follow his lead and say, yeah, Greg, you're absolutely right. They're going up to turn 5. They bang it down 2 gears, and then they get in and get out. Back to you, Greg. He blabbers on for another. He can tell you about the car, when it was designed, what nuts and bolts and everything are used, and I just come back and say, yeah, Greg, they're going up to turn 5 again, and they're going to bang it down 2 gears and go. But then I still remember the one story. We were commentating sports and saloons or something, and we were in flat out, like in the zone, like I was feeling so good, and then Greg pulls out, yeah, and Colonel Custard gets it wrong going into turn 3, and I just hosed myself, and I was like, sorry, what did you just say? And he said, no, Colonel Custard, like it's Chris Davidson or whatever his name is, Colonel Custard. I was like, how in the hell did you nickname someone Colonel Custard? And then he told me the whole story. But anyway, like one of the most entertaining parts of my life is commentating with Greg Mulaney. He really is the voice of choice. And one day I'll actually put I'll do a video of us commentating live. Greg is like supremely good, and it's actually really funny. It's like literally the funniest thing to watch. But with regards to Mr. Action Jackson, what's nice to see with a lot of the Bridgestone Challenge Superbike riders, Zx10 Masters Cup riders and everything, is us as commentators and us that are in the industry that get to see the progression that these guys make. I mean, I think, for a while, Action Jackson wasn't very action, and he was at the back of the grid most of the time, and now he's like fought his way through, and he's a contender, like one of those guys that we see straight away. We know Action Jackson, we know what he looks like, we know when he's in shot, we know how to commentate on him, and he's in the mix now. It's not just a case of that guy that's blown at the back of the field. So it's great getting to know these guys. I didn't know Action Jackson before. I didn't know Cliffy Ogle and any of them before. I kind of just met them, and you indeed, Keith, as well, through the industry. And like I think Mr. Jackson commented on earlier, one of the greatest things about going racing is obviously racing your bike and going flat out, but it's also those relationships that you build up. And yeah, I've been very fortunate that I've met the likes of Greg Mulaney, and Greg's taught me, I always say Greg's like a father to me, or a bigger brother, because he really has just shown me so much, and I have so much.
A very young father.
Well, it's weird because he is like, that's why I say he's like an older brother, but he is a father figure to me in so many ways. Because so many times when I've been in the dumps, or when I've needed his help, or when I've just needed that shoulder to cry on or someone to phone, Greg's that guy, and he took me into the commentary booth and he showed me, and he's done so much for me, and I think he's done so much for the sport in general. So yeah, if I think of the relationships that I've built up and the people that I've met in the industry, Action Jackson, Cliffy Ogle, Keith Porter, all you guys, I think it's that's apart from the racing, but off track, that's definitely the highlight for sure.
Rob, while we were talking about Mulaney, they're very busy with the e-racing. Sorry, Gary, I just want to jump in there because it's a good opportunity. They've been doing a lot of stuff with the e-racing and the Solidarity e-race, and doing quite a big movement into the e-sports environment. And you this week now launched the Ride Fast league for the Moto GP. I think it's the 2020. I don't know if there's specifics with the 2019 or whatever. Do you want to just talk about that and kind of elaborate what that whole concept is and how you're going to make it a thing now? Because I think the attraction for superbikers that can't go to track will definitely be into that at this point.
So basically how it started is the team from Milestone, who are the developers of the Moto GP game and have been for many years, got hold of me and said, would I like to do a review on the new Moto GP 20 game? Of course I said yes. I actually don't have a game console or a PlayStation myself because I'm happily married with 2 kids, so that'll just never happen. And with a magazine, I'd never be able to get any work done if I had a PlayStation. So they got hold of me. They sent me a copy of the game, went to my brother's house, set it up with his PS4, played the game, and did a review, put it up in the magazine, and did a short little video review on the Ride Fast Facebook page. And one of our loyal readers and big supporters got hold of me and said he would love to to start a Ride Fast Championship. So I know nothing about that stuff. I know absolutely nothing about it. So the guy's name's Donovan Flugel. He got hold of me, and he set up the whole Ride Fast MotoGP. It is the MotoGP 20 game, so you can only do it with the MotoGP 20 game. And he set up now the whole esports league. So we're doing a test run tomorrow night with a few guys, starting a Moto 3 race tomorrow night. And then from there, we'll take it to bigger and stronger, going forward from there. We're going to try and build it up to a big championship from Moto 3, Moto 2, Moto GP, and every level. We want intermediate guys that still need a lot of the riding aids on. We want, faster guys, and then we want the elite guys. So we're going to try and make a platform available for every kind of rider to enjoy Moto 2, Moto 3, Moto GP. Like I said, any kind of level rider. For now, it's PS4, PlayStation 4 based, but I know Donovan is working really hard to make a league for the Xbox and the PC gamers to come on as well. So, just something awesome to do. Pretty much the only way we can go racing at the moment. So the MotoGP 20 game is spectacular, and I encourage everyone to go check it out. It's Ride Fast MotoGP 20 eSport Facebook page, and if you have any questions, just private message on there, and Donovan will get back to you with anything you need to know.
Awesome. Well, I think it's a good initiative. I mean, realistically speaking, the sim racing elements of it, I refer to e-racing, sorry, it's a correction. It's called sim racing in totality of it. Just a question. I mean, I think it's a good thing because in times like this, we don't know how long it's going to continue. It allows people, I've seen with the car side of things, it allows people that do it for a living and be professional riders or drivers compete to this aspiring home-based people that used to do it as a game, but now are into these massive simulators, and the rigs are quite extensive and quite elaborate to some extent, some of them. But like Gareth, Cliffy, let's start with you, Gareth. Would you consider this as something to feed your competitive need? Because, I mean, we're doing it, yes, because the technology's been there for a few years. We as non-gamers per se haven't really started or engaged with it because we've been able to do the real thing. How for you as a social rider that wants to go race a motorcycle that burns on fuel, how does this appeal to you in the overall view, like worldwide? Is this something you'll pursue to kind of feed your need for speed? Yeah, did you see what I did there?
Sure. Keith, I think now specifically, to get involved in something like that is more about the social aspect. It's to keep us, in contention and competing against, the guys that are currently in our championships, that are doing our track days, the guys that are in the biking scene already. It's just about having a bit of fun, with everyone, during this period that we currently sit in. Afterwards, I'm not 100% sure. For me, I probably don't think that it would be such a big thing afterwards. But I think now I can definitely see the attraction.
Look, I need to admit, I think there's one thing that appeals to me that's quite interesting, and I think it appeals to a lot of people, where you can find yourself now on a MotoGP bike against Brad Binder with Brad Binder. Yeah. So what I'm saying, and then potentially beating Brad Binder on a sim race with his own bike and character. That kind of hypes me up to get involved. You know what I mean? Cliff, how do you feel about that?
I tried the SPK game that you played the other day, and I mean, just trying to get around one lap was harder than anything I faced before.
I honestly, I get so I'd rather not try and just commentate on or talk about other people trying. That's just not my skill, I think, either. Cliff, how are you games with a real bike?
So I think one of the big things as we sit here now, and I don't want to be considered an ageist or anything like that, but I think it's different generations and also different upbringing. So there are people, younger generations that are more dependent on online gaming and the new PS4s and Xboxes and things like that. I think when we were younger, we were still playing Mario Brothers on Nintendo. So I think that maybe kicked us off and puts us at the back end on the e-racing field type of thing. But I think there are guys that love it and will come home from work and game until the early hours of the morning. But I'm not one of those guys. I think I feel I don't have the control in my fingers, and I can see it in my mind. But when it's not happening on the TV, it just ends up in a lot of frustration and a lot of curse words that upset my dogs and my wife. So I think for my sake, I'd rather just stay away. You know, that's the biggest problem, is that, you know, if I crash my bike, whatever, I can still go and cry in the pit lane and people will feel sorry for me. When I crash 17 times on one lap and I start losing my cool, whatever, no one feels sorry for me because I just look like a knob. So I think it is cool. I mean, I've got friends that are very big into gaming and that, and they're excited about this kind of stuff, and they love it. It's like we passionate about racing on a racetrack, they're passionate about gaming and stuff like that. And it is cool that even though at this point everyone's so isolated, we can still all come together with all of us having the same love for racing, and whether we're doing it on track or on our PCs or PlayStation, whatever, we can still do something and get our fix. So I think, at this point in time, with things the way they are, I think it's a step in the right direction. So good work, Rob. It's a great idea.
Yeah. Rob, also, just getting back to some more of the stuff that you do, you guys released another free edition of the Ride Fast magazine this month. Do you want to just tell us about the contents and where people can find the link? We'll definitely post it up after the show. But yeah, I mean, it looked amazing. I don't know, it feels like you just kind of took your time with that one and just made it one of the best editions yet.
Yeah, so, you know, it's a catch-22 for us. Do you like that, catch-22, eh? It's a catch-22 situation for us because you know, when we print the magazine, we can offer, you know, well, we can charge more advertising, higher advertising rates. We make good money off the print mag sales. You know, we got a really good following. So when this kind of hit, we were told straight off the bat, as soon as lockdown hit, that we weren't able to print or distribute the magazine, which, you know, okay, well, what do we do now? So, and kind of like everyone in the boat now, we're all going to have to find a new norm. You know, going forward, there's going to be a new normal in doing business. So we had to kind of adapt with that. We always try to you know, build that digital platform, but you know, we were so focused on getting the print right, and there was still such a big demand for print, especially here in South Africa. You know, people still love look and feel, read a magazine, climb on the toilet, have the biggest crap of your life, and read a magazine. You know, that's what we love doing in South Africa. So it's a tough decision for us to make, because we are now, you know, forfeiting all that profit that we make from print, which is a hell of a lot of money, I can tell you. We also forfeiting the profit that we make from advertisers, because now, you know, it's tough times. The trade's not trading, so you know, a lot of dealerships are taking strain with cash flow and stuff. So, you know, what do? So we decided as a team, from Ride Fast and Dirt and Trail, myself and Glenn Foley, that cool, let's get whatever advertising we can in. We reduced our advertising rates like really, really low, to try and help our companies and that were still interested in advertising. You know, you can't forget them and don't just, you know, sell them short. So let's cater to them as best as we can. We offered probably the best rates we ever going to offer ever, just to get people in, and, you know, whatever extra income we can get in, cool. And you know, then a lot of people said, well, why don't you sell the digital issue and make people pay? And we just thought, you know, it's such tough times out there. You know, people really are crying and suffering and stuff. So, you know, we were in the position financially that, you know, we could pay salaries and that at the end of this month, at least end of April, I'm talking about. Let's put it out, the first one out the April out as a free issue, just to put smiles on people's faces. That's ultimately what we aim to do, even with a print magazine. We just want people to look at Ride Fast and Dirt and Trail and just read through it, get through the magazine and go, you know, have a big smile on their face and go, well, you know, that's just cheered me up a lot. So made the decision, free digital issue April, and then we did the same for May. We still had a lot of advertisers, a lot of loyal advertisers stick with us in these tough times. And the nice thing, well, I mean, the plus side of not having to go print is that I can go a bit more expansive and a bit more crazy and wild with the layouts, which I did for this May issue. You know, I made the pictures nice and big, because I don't have to worry about pages. You know, with print, you work on the advertising budget that you got, and then you go, cool, we've got this much budget, we can go this many pages. But with print, with digital, I just went crazy. 130 pages this May issue, nice big pictures, nice colorful pictures, and over the years, I've formed some great relationships with some great journalists and bloggers and everything worldwide, and trust me, I pulled all those contacts that I have into this issue. So I think we've put together probably one of the best issues we've ever put together, and it's for free. It's on the motomedia.co.za website. You can go on. The May issue is free, plus some of our back issues. So yeah, it's just, again, put smiles on people's faces in these tough times. Help still keep a lot of the motorcycle industry in people's eyes, so that as soon as we do come out of lockdown, people will still be thinking about the bike trade and bike racing, and keep people up to date with the Happy World Superbike. So yeah, go enjoy it for free.
Good.
Click on it, read it, send us a message. Tell me if you love it. Tell me, yeah.
No, I think it looks amazing. We did speak before the show, and I just think it does show that you weren't working with space issues in that edition. So go out there, download the free edition. There's some wonderful pictures in there. That front cover picture with that Ducati looks fantastic. Let's just say that looks like one bad Street Fighter. Let's be honest. Yeah, that's something else. Also, just to wrap up the show, guys, I wanted to just wrap up with you, Gareth Jackson. Your chat with us, thank you so much. We missed Zoe. You must tell her we missed her, right? Rob, you for joining us always. Get onto the new platform. Support Rob in the sim racing series that they're starting in the league. I'm pretty sure
Do you mind if I just say one memory that I have of Rob?
Oh, please do. Yes, we're here for good stories.
Just a bit of humor. I never forget the one comment that a commentator made about me that I've never forgotten. And this was in 2018. Funny enough, again, there's another story from Pekisa. Off of the line, went into turn one, and we'll call it a braking mishap, and I kind of went into a whole bunch of bikes at the time. So anyway, we managed to finish the race successfully, and the edit came out, and I'll never forget Rob's comment was, he still says, and Action Jackson, he says he was a good racer, but he cannot keep racing like this.
But you can't. Was I lying?
I've never forgotten that. It was brilliant.
Well, I sort of add on to that story. Because this is exactly the same. Because I asked you, like, my mates and stuff like that. They said, "Why do you call him Action Jackson?" And I was never gonna ask, because it's just weird. So I said, "No, you're a retired adult film industry star," and that's how we left it. And then I remember my last race on my Ducati. We still chatted in the pits, and I said to you, all I want to do is I just want to get to this race weekend, not crash, whatever, and I can just put my bike back in road trim and sell it. And you said, yeah, let's rather just take it easy. And we went through turn one, and as we came through turn one, you and I went side by side, and you gave me a little bump, and I went farming through turn one, and I thought, now I know why they call you Action Jackson. So, yeah, the name is stuck, but turn one always seems to be a bit of a dangerous area to be in if you're anywhere close to Gareth. That's just one thing I've come to learn over the last few seasons.
Yeah, no. Look, I mean, it speaks for itself. This is how nicknames came about. If it's a commentator's curse, that's what it turned you into. Everyone's scared of you on the turn one, especially turn two at Swartkorps. Everyone definitely goes about 5 meters to your left.
We've been in the hospital from turn two.
Yeah, no, look, that last crash, Action had a bit of a down with... he took out one or two other riders, but you had a bit of an addition to your elbow there for a few weeks. It looked like a whole nother you.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a painful experience.
Yeah, good. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight on Raceday.tv on Hanging Cable. Rob will definitely download and keep posting all the links and updates with your new racing series, and we're looking forward to this month's edition. We also have a few onboards that we're going to be sharing in the coming weeks with Rob, and we'll be doing the long editions and then catch Ride Fast in their Facebook. But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. This week we had a few entries into the Motul Moments colouring competition powered by Motul. That's an unofficial entry, but Gareth, we thought it's appropriate to show you. that there's some people that support you way more than you think. There's another one that we got from Nigel Brunt of Graham from Breda, and then also Alicia, Rich and them with the kids entering those for this week.
I love that one.
So that's a very lucky one. There's a few great ones of all of you in there. I see AJ's been sharing quite a lot. Get those entries in. The pictures are on our Facebook page. If you need them, get in contact. But thank you for joining us. And yeah, you guys must have a good week. And I saw there was a MSA release that we might start looking to get racing in the next couple of months. No guarantees or any kind of date set yet, but we'll keep you in tune and updated. But we'll find you guys here next week, same time, same place.
Thanks very much, guys.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Cliffy.
Yes, guys, take it easy. Let's get racing soon.
Cool, guys. Have a good one.
Cheers, guys.